Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. So this was our last Patreon exclusive that we did, as we do Patreon exclusives each week. Deep dives into a lot of things. A lot of topics that we cover will be things that are on the minds of everybody, but then we'll look at it from a different perspective and try to hopefully give you guys some options for calming the mind in these times. Oh, yes, it's going to be really, really key. As you see here, China at the UN, Lebanon and Israel on the verge of all-out conflict, imperiling peace and stability of the entire Middle East. China urges Israel to abandon its obsession with the use of force and its illusion of seeking a complete military victory. You also have 45 saying one of the first things he's going to do is basically address people that are speaking out against that land there that was resurrected in 1948 and brought into creation at this period of time, to use biblical terms, to be a thorn in the side of, the whole world. Yeah, absolutely. Last night I was getting kind of a visual picture of what I think will kind of become the new norm, as we'll be seeing that there'll be this WW3 conflict that they're creating normalized, and reports will come in of, I was seeing different oblasts. Now oblasts are like different sections in Russia. Again, we could equate this to our states, and talking about the amount of casualties in each oblast, and seeing kind of a semi normal looking life with radicalized people, or just basically controlled people of different technologies and ways, doing acts that are not peaceful by any means, and it all becoming kind of normalized. Again, when you look to the future, look to the past, there were these old real movies that would give you updates on how the war was going back in those days, when everybody didn't have YouTube and, all the different channels reporting the news from everywhere. And also the ability to look at your smartphones and to see actual videos. No, they were highlight reels. They were, how is the war going over in the Pacific theater? How is the war going over in the European theater, et cetera, et cetera? And people would wait and hinge on every moment, every little nugget that was given to us by ultimately the propaganda machine. Again, there is one propaganda machine giving us a different slant on it depending on what country we are in, but it is all basically one system. So what are we going to do to combat this and to maintain our sanity and our peace? I would recommend mantras as being the number one thing. I mean, for us, it is kind of number one, and number 1A is I would say Qigong, and then number 1B is using yoga as well. But mantras, there's a reason why mantras have been performed since as far back as we can go. And there are reasons for the body to learn how to relax through the chanting of, say, Om. This is a study from NIH, of all places. Yeah, and it's showing the relationship between chanting Om and actually turning off the fight or flight side of our nervous system. Your nervous system is a two-way switch. You're in fight or flight, or you're in rest and digest. The news is going to put you into fight and flight. This is just how things have been. As we know, it's all negative news all the time for the most part. And that does serve a purpose. It puts you into creating a condition where, you have cortisol going and running wild. You're making all sorts of adrenaline, stress hormones, and you're accelerating the aging process. You're creating the conditions of an acidic environment within the body. It's going to bring out a lot of disease. It's going to make a lot of industries money. And that's really the bottom line that people are realizing now.
It is, and these hormones, although we need them, definitely too much of them, it does start to wear on the body. And when it's wearing on our body, it's going to start to wear on our soul when you're just in this constant place of just pure tension. Sometimes it becomes so normalized that you don't even realize it until maybe you go for a massage, or you go to a quiet place, or you go sit and meditate for an hour, and then suddenly you start to feel your body relax, or you deliberately relax each part of the body, tightening it and releasing it. And then you can feel the contrast of this uptight place that you've been for, hours and sometimes days. And sometimes some people that's just their normal state. They're just really tense, type A personalities, people with PTSD. There's a lot of people out there that just are just like this. And the mantras, they are absolutely my go-to. And I was chatting with a friend yesterday, I think, and understanding that when a stressful situation is going on and you put your energy towards something like mantras, something like meditation, something like prayer, then you're actually doing something about that stressful situation. But if you're just going to sit and stress and worry in it, well, that's just going to create all of these bad chemicals in your body. So that's why we like to teach people alternative ways what to do with your time besides just sit and worry on the thing, because that actually is like a brain loop. So you just loop and loop and loop, and you're just worried and worried. But if you break it with a mantra or something of this nature, you're actually doing something about the situation. And I gotta tell you guys, Ganesh, he's always pulled through. He has always pulled through. He is my go-to. Ganesh, remover of all obstacles. That's where I go, and he's done some really amazing things for me. So it's helped me trust that there's something else out there to do besides worry. And when I do turn my focus to the mantras, I'm doing something. I'm not just sitting there humming. Nope. Something else in the world is happening to help me address my issue.
And there is medical reasoning behind this, as well as the spiritual and the frequency, because this literally does stimulate the vagus nerve. And this is what this study has found, that it's by chanting Om, for instance, what you're doing is you're literally causing vibrations to echo throughout your body, which is turning the switch from fight or flight to rest and digest. And the more you get grooved with this, the more you get into the pattern of this, you could literally sit down and in the midst of maybe even a raging battle, get to the point where you can start to do this chanting, and you'll turn it right off. You'll turn that fight and flight right off, and you will start to calm. Your blood pressure will go down. Your heart rate will go down. This is truly looking at it from a scientific aspect. And I have a couple of articles here for you if you want to go into this and read these articles. It won't take you long. But it's basically showing this and how the nervous system works. So, again, if you are under stress and producing cortisol and adrenaline, even 10 minutes, it says, a mantra channeling will block the release of the stress hormones. And the soothing effect lasts for up to 48 hours after each session. We become calmer during mantra practice and also more resilient to new potential stressors. Things won't trigger you as quickly. You'll be able to stay calm and cool. If you see people, again, some people in high performance, athletic performance, have the ability to stay so serene and calm and almost like they're watching it happen without them actually doing it, so to speak. I'm drawn to like Michael Jordan, the way he was so focused when he was shooting the basketball, It was like a hyper focus where the rest of the world didn't exist. Nothing else existed. It was just him, the ball, and the goal. And this is the type of thing that we can do when we cultivate a mantra practice. It is very powerful, very transformative. It literally takes me like 1 or 2 repetitions, just 1 or 2. And I feel from head to toe, buzzing, tingling. I can feel the flow of the energy going through the governing and functioning vessels in the microcosmic orbit. I could feel every chakra opening up. I could feel, my roots sinking into the ground, and I could feel my consciousness expanding beyond my body with just 1 or 2 repetitions. Now, that took a time to bring that into effect, but it's never too late to start. And in these times, again, I think where we are right now is amazing. And the potential that we have right now is so much more than, say, back in the 80s and 90s when I was first starting to do these practices on a regular basis. Then it was a lot of work before you even got a little bit of payback to where that, hey, I'm doing something that is real here. It's not just all an illusion in my mind. And now, because we're in a totally different age and getting out of all the constructs that mentally have been put into us of, you can't do this, you can't do that, all these negative constructs that we're always talking about. From original sin to you need somebody to save you. No, everything you need is within you. Everything you need is right there all the time. You just have to tap into it. So as simple as it could be, even just chanting Om, focusing on the one thing, just Om, can be completely transformative. Completely. And these are quoting different studies. One study in 2018, staff in Dublin, Ireland, participated. And again, there's dozens and dozens of studies that have been done on mantras, as well as also on yoga, tai chi, qigong, reiki. These things work. Why do they work? Because ultimately, you are consciousness, and you are consciousness as part of an ocean having a temporary experience in this human vessel, which is self-limiting in many ways, and that's done on purpose so we can get the most out of this experience. And yet we can still use techniques to kind of take a step back to turn off certain sides of the body, which will allow us to expand our consciousness and turn on some aspects of us that we have turned off on purpose to come into the body and to learn things. So we can tap into the higher self, we could tap into our guides and those angelic beings that are out there protecting us while we're on this journey here in this crazy 3D realm.
A friend sent me a little video clip of a scientist doing an experiment with fleas, and they put the fleas in this little jar, and they put the lid on, and for 3 days they monitored the fleas, and for 3 days the fleas were jumping up in the jar and hitting their little heads on the lid there. And then after 3 days of that, they took the lid off and realized that the fleas only jump as high as that lid forever. So, I mean, if you can do that to a flea, I have a feeling that some of the people that are in our reality have put limitations on humans, at least making humans think that they have limitations. And through this energy work and through mantras and different modalities, we can not only take the lid off of our jar, but realize our potential, which is very exciting. I mean, that's really, to me, it's very exciting to realize the potential of the human mind, body, soul, and spirit. It can take us a long way.
Absolutely. When we chant out loud, we stimulate the vagus nerve. This cranial nerve runs from our brain alongside both sides of the neck to our heart, and then all the way down to the colon. When stimulated, the vagus nerve activates the parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest response. In the rest and digest response mode, the brain sends signals to the stomach via the vagus nerve that is now safe to focus on digestion. The heart pumps more blood from the brain towards the digestive tract, providing our gut with more oxygen and nutrients. The acidity in our stomach reaches an optimal level to promote healthy digestion and speed up our metabolism. When the vagus nerve is stimulated, it also suppresses inflammation in the body, increases our immunity, helping us fight off infection and speed up healing and recovery after injuries. So here you go, right here. Again, just the simple chanting of Om, nothing complicated, can do all that, can boost your immune system. And again, boosting your immune system is critical. Inflammation is the enemy of your immune system. Everything that we're taking in our bodies in some way is probably stimulating inflammation to a certain degree at this point, because most of it is very, very toxic. This is why also fasting and intermittent fasting are very, very powerful tools to use. And again, feel into it, work your way into it gently. Because so many people are very toxic in this world. And it's, again, unfortunately, it's intentional to keep us always running off to the DRs, which we don't use. we don't follow Western medicine, and we don't, at this point in time, believe Western medicine. For the most part, I think everything you can find that's going to really be truly helpful to you, you can find in nature and just within, with simple techniques. What does it cost you to fast? Nothing. It saves you money. So, there's no money to be made there. There's no opportunity to control you there either. What does it cost you to simply sit there and chant Om? Nothing. These are ways that are so powerful, and they don't cost a dime. In fact, living this type of lifestyle will end up saving you tons of money. Because you have people that say, I can't afford to eat healthy. I have no choice but to eat, crap from the dollar menu or crap from the processed foods. Well, that's going to end up taking all the rest of your money and sending it off to Western medicine, which is basically just padding the accounts of the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the like. When you can turn it around by simply doing two things right here, Om chanting, and you could go deeper too, and we'll get into that with different sounds. And also just simply abstaining from food for maybe 16 hours. If you could do that, that would actually do a lot to benefit the body. Doesn't cost anything. This is, again, kind of rethinking our patterns. So there's been other neuroscientific studies concluded that mantra practice increases our self-awareness, self-compassion, and infuses us with a greater sense of calm. We begin to perceive ourselves and others more positively and become more solution-oriented. This is particularly effective when we know the meaning of the mantras we chant and keep up our practice for at least 8 weeks. Mantra practice strengthens the connection of the prefrontal cortex with other parts of the brain, like the amygdala, helping us regulate our emotions better. This means we are more in touch with our emotions and choose an appropriate response. So, for instance, rather than losing our temper, we catch ourselves earlier and decide to take a walk to cool off. Yeah, absolutely. I think mantras can cool you off more than anything.
Well, when you train the brain and train the brain to realize that there's a solution and your back is not up against a wall, there is something different you can do, that definitely helps. I mean, it doesn't take away all of the stress, but I can tell you it definitely curbs it, and it helps your body cope with whatever situation you have going on. And we work with some people who are dealing with some pretty stressful situations, and that's always where we send them. We send them toward the inner peace, and help them on that path and give them ideas and solutions, because some people just don't even know, like, where do I start? This spirituality thing is so vast, where do I start? And that's where we come in. I mean, we can help figure out someone's lifestyle and figure out, okay, well, where is best for them to start. But, going back to the fleas for just a second, the conditioning, the conditioning that we are raised that there's only a certain way to handle things in a certain solution. And even in our belief system, they kind of take out the idea that, oh, these mantras, they're evil. So they take that away from us. And here we're limiting ourselves to such a high degree. And, we're going through an awakening, and Mike and I are helping a lot of people realize their potential. And that feels good. And we're helping a lot of people work through things that they feel that there's no other solution for. So we're expanding their world and showing them a path, and, kind of gently, what are those called? We're like little training wheels. And when it's time for those training wheels to come off, this person feels strong and confident. And that's what we like to do.
Yeah, I've studied a lot of different modalities of healing over the years. Craniosacral therapy was one that I did study, and I honestly wasn't sold on it. It was only after going and learning it, and then in class conditions, realizing that as this was being done to me in practice in class, my vision was getting better. And it was amazing because I was using glasses to look at the teacher in a big classroom with hundreds of people. They're showing things on the screen, and I couldn't really make out what they were showing without my glasses. But then after practicing on each other, I was not needing the glasses. And it made me realize, wow, this is actually a very, very powerful tool. The craniosacral fluid nourishes the brain, and it nourishes the spinal cord. It's interesting to note that when you look at a sperm, it literally does have kind of the shape of a skull attached to your spinal cord. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but that is real. Why am I talking about that here? Because in craniosacral therapy, one of the first things you do is loosen up the C1 and the occipital region in order for the nerve flow to be optimal. And what craniosacral therapy does is basically correct imbalances in the flow of the craniosacral fluid. This looks like energy work to a high degree, and I still think it is energy work for sure. But it also does have some mechanical aspects to it. Now, of course, this would only be done in person with hands-on. Yet we can do a lot of this ourselves. We could get a lot of these benefits ourselves, again, by doing simple things like practicing mantras on a daily basis. And, we're going to a higher level now, Cindy and I personally, because these times are thick. And we're helping people, every single day pretty much, with energy work, spiritual coaching, et cetera, et cetera. Last night we had a session that was typically they were going to be about an hour, but it ended up being the whole family, and ended up being like 2 hours and running late almost into our bedtime, which made it really, really tough for us to decompress. So what do? We do mantras right before going to sleep, and we do mantras when we get up. And this helps to clear our energy. It helps to put us, and I could feel so clearly the physical components of this happening when we do them. It's just so tangible that you're being put into the rest and digest, and you could feel literally the flow. I could sense the flow of the craniosacral fluid going through my body. And, the vagus nerve is one of 12 cranial nerves that connect our brain and body. Again, it stems from the brainstem all the way down to the gut. It's very, very critical. And so, again, it's nice, to have the ability to go to your favorite, energy worker, massage therapist, person doing craniosacral, maybe acupuncture. All these things have benefits. But then again, they can also be costly. So learn techniques yourself that don't cost you anything. And that's what I'm trying to get across here. You don't have to be wealthy to be healthy. Ooh, that's a good one.
That's good. I like it. You don't have to be wealthy to be healthy. But you do have to have a level of determination and resolve, because the simple things, yes, they are free. But one of the most important things, a precursor to that, is what we put in our bodies, the preservatives, the sugars. The mantras and meditation, they're going to help to a degree, but it's going to be limited if you're not being careful what you're placing in your temple, and how that goes into your blood and your veins, and how that's creating cells that are going to be you. You need the purest food possible. You need the healthiest food possible if you're going to shoot for a total and complete healing, which is doable. It's absolutely doable. It's not going to be a quick path, but going back to the conditioning and the fleas, so many people are just used to going to the DR and DR slapping a Band-Aid on it. And you might have a little bit of time where it's like, okay, I don't have any symptoms. That's great. But believe me, the body is not being healed. And if anything, whatever disease or whatever is going on inside of you is getting backed up, and it's getting worse because you just put a Band-Aid on it. We can no longer do that in this era and expect to have ourselves healed. It's going in another direction. I think this it's sad that we have to call it alternative, because this was the ancient ways. This was the first way. The first thing you do is heal and take care of the body, and then anything else was alternative. So they really got it all turned around.
Well, maybe what they meant to say was, the alternative is actually living healthy and adapting natural practices that have been around forever. Or you could stay in the Western system and donate all your time and money to the bankers and to the ones that are paying for the science to give you these results of certain studies, again, promoting everything. There's some out there that have been talking about what's gone on since 2020, and then doctors, by the way, that are very anti-certain things now, which most people that are aware of the situation have become very anti-certain things now. Ouch. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Yet they're promoting still these different things coming up through big pharma as cures for big C and things like that. Again, it's toxic overload. So how do you detox is really what you need to look at. How do I remove, inflammation causing agents and stressors and unhealthy frequencies from my surroundings and thus my body? These are the things we need to look at, because again, the system is a money-making system. The system is a business model. And, it does kind of bother me a little bit when I see people trying to business model, though it's natural, because you have to realize we were brought up in this very, very reptilian system, which is all about promoting wealth and all these things. There's nothing wrong with living a comfortable life, but it's always about the me instead of the we, and starting to understand that, again, you're looking at different organs. Well, the liver's not in a competition with the stomach, and the stomach's not in a competition with the lungs, and et cetera, et cetera. They depend on each other. This is what we have to look at it. What is, your strong suit in life? What can you contribute to the world? And again, Kennedy's speech of, that's not what your country can do for you. Get past the whole divisive concept of countries. What can we do for each other and the planet? And not in a way that's really has a different purpose. Like when they promote the green agenda, we understand. The green agenda that they're promoting is the money going into their accounts so they could control us and inflate their egos. Again, this is, all about the deals with the devil that we were talking about. So when you see people that have their own systems, and they're promoting their own system as the best way, I think, again, this is just something that it's not in my heart to do. We could promote our own system. We could, and we could patent it and all that, but that's not who we are. We just are here for a purpose, and that's to help anybody that wants to be helped, anybody that has an open enough mind to look at things. We just want to give you the tools so you can better yourself. And that's our purpose for this world. It's not to be rich. We don't want to have a huge bank account, because that will encompass a lot of karma that you have to basically navigate through, and also the temptation of getting deeper into the system. We just want to live free, and we just want to live peaceful, and we want to enjoy each other's company and the company of our pets and friends and nature, the simple life. And we can do that. We can all do that. You don't have to spend thousands, finding the right guru either, and finding and subscribing to their system. Because that dogma there is literally the bigger system kind of coming in and working its way into something that's really good in order to, again, twist it in a very dogmatic way. When you see this layout, the nerves are super important. If you do have compression in your nerves, and these nerves are being compressed, it's going to inhibit the flow. Think of it as closing off the electrical system that's trying to supply the electricity to these different organs so they could function. So obviously, that's going to be an issue for all the chiropractors out there. I had a discussion with a family member that was a chiropractor years ago, and of course they were all about helping others, but they were also about their own self-promotion, which is natural. It's the world that we're in. And again, if we're doing a good thing, then obviously we want to help more people, and we want to self-promote to a degree. But when I was saying to him, I found that by doing yoga regularly, I don't have to go see the chiropractor, because I'm able to get all these releases myself. And yeah, yoga is a critical part of this. And hatha yoga has so many benefits too, as well as lengthening and decompressing the spine, so we can again have proper nerve flow. At Qigong, once you learn some forms, and you don't have to be dogmatic about the forms either, it doesn't take much to learn what's going to give you all you really need. You just have to be consistent and dedicated. This will also help to decompress the spine, and also make sure that you have proper nerve flow to all these organs, because when we do have compressed discs, it does inhibit the flow of the chi, the prana, the life force, the electricity too, which again, when we look at lightning, that's compressed life force. This is how we need to look at the world here. So you can do things that don't cost you anything but your time. Again, chanting the mantras, learning yoga and Qigong. These things are going to benefit you. And really, again, it's just your time. You have plenty of YouTube videos that you can learn from. You don't have to go and become a Reiki master teacher in order to be an effective healer or a pranic healer or study medical Qigong. All these studies do help, but also the material is out there for you to do it on your own. You can, and you could actually interact with people. This is the beauty of the technology. We could use the technology that's out there today to transform the world in just seconds, really. I mean, in the bigger scheme of things, it wouldn't take long if it wasn't for the interference of the system to transform the world. It's just that would eliminate their control of the world, so that's why they can't have it.
There's a lot of ways to do things out there. I think all in all, probably honestly, the hardest part is the food intake, because the food that we eat is so readily available is kind of full of really bad stuff that's going to hinder your energy flow and create blocks and create problems. So the hardest part is the food intake. You got to be bringing in good food that's going to help the energy flow and not hinder the energy flow. So yeah, food can create quite a few blocks, and once you really get the energy body healed and the 3D body healed. I mean, you can do a lot. We know a lot of people that work on their pets, and it's very, very effective. A lot of people learning a lot of things, and there's a lot of classes out there too. But anything that you need to know, really, it is going to be found in a book, and it's also going to be found if you want to expand and work on family and friends, things of that nature. You know, you do kind of get into like a little karmic stickiness. So it is mostly what you want to do is get yourself healthy and focus on yourself. And whatever your life path is supposed to be is going to come to you.
Absolutely. You know, and when we look again to music, we talked about 440 hertz and how disharmonious it is. So again, if it's not in 440 hertz, maybe, you know, limit that and look more to 432 hertz and more uplifting frequency ranges. And you could create your own, you know, even if you can't hold a tune, create your own. Our beloved sister, our Special K, was just saying how, you know, she's done something amazing. She's gone from one of the most populated counties in the entirety of the United States, surrounded by all sorts of frequencies, to now where she's surrounded by nothing but trees, and literally has no internet. You know, she has no Wi-Fi. What is she doing? She's singing and dancing all day and enjoying herself, and she's blossoming like this amazing being that has always been there and is just really coming into her own right now. And she's doing it really from within. This is the thing. You have everything you need right now, and all you really need to do is to understand some basic things and run with it. Our best teachers and gurus and guides really, in many cases, are not embodied, but you can still communicate with them. And so you can cultivate that relationship. You can really have your personal relationship with Christ if you want to. You know, with the real Yeshua, again, if you talk to him, he's going to hear you, and he's not going to respond in a dogmatic way. You might not be able to hear him at first, but you might start to begin to sense and get the messages. It might come as pictures. Again, going a little off tangent, but just want to make a point. We don't have to believe anything that anybody says about anything, and that's really where we're going now. When we're outside of the dark age, then yeah, you know, the gateway to the universe lies within you.
It does. It absolutely does. And realizing how powerful you are, and realizing how high you can truly soar, and understanding that the limitations that have been put around you are just that, they're limitations. And our belief system, even our thoughts, the thought construct that we've created growing up, that the thoughts, those are the bars. Those are the bars that keep us from doing certain things. The thoughts that you cannot do something, or the belief system that has been implemented inside of you. For every one of those beliefs, you might as well put a bar up and figure you can't go across that. But really, if you open up the belief system and you take a look at the thoughts and you just lay them down, I mean, the world you could explore is endless.
Absolutely. And so there are what we call bija mantras. Bija just means seed, or you could think of these as root mantras in a way. They're not complicated. They're very simple sounds, as you see. This particular chart from top down is using Om as the crown chakra, or actually Aum, and then Om as the third eye, Ham as the throat chakra, Yam as the heart, Ram as the solar plexus, Vam as the seat of the soul, as they put it, or sacral, and Lam as the root chakra. One of the things, like right with this is different than what many will give. And again, it's important not to be dogmatic. What feels right to you? It's just that simple. What feels right to you? So again, there are these different sounds that can stimulate without going into the more complicated mantras. Of course, you might find in time that you want to go into the more complicated mantras. Again, Sanskrit is the oldest the oldest language that we have. So I think it is probably the most purest of any of the languages out there if you want to tap into frequencies that are not of the Dark Age, the Kali Yuga. English, as has been pointed out, you write in cursive, you wish people a good morning. Everything about it has been constructed in a manner that is really truly of the Dark Age. So you'll find that the resonance with the Sanskrit words is much more advantageous. This is absolutely a little bit of a dogmatic approach, to say the least, and it's the point I want to get across is that it said that there are, now jogging my memory, I believe 55 different Sanskrit sounds, and they correlate to 55 petals on the 7 main chakras that line up in the body. There are thousands of chakras in the body, 7 main ones along the spinal cord, as we were talking about. And each one of them has a different sound that would open it. It's also said that each of the 7 chakras, is governed by a different deity. Ganesha is in the root chakra, for instance. So there, for me, if I was to just focus on opening the root without wanting to do the whole Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha Sharanam Ganesha, I would just do Om Gam, Om Gam, Om Gam, and focus on that. And, again, that's going to open up the root chakra. We have to have the chakras opened for the life force energy to flow, for the Kundalini energy to flow. I think, again, combining Qigong practice with the mantra practice is more than a good idea. It's really imperative to smooth out the energy, as it's known that if your Kundalini awakens too quickly, you can have all sorts of problems. And we've talked about that in many videos at length. So again, learning Qigong practice, we have a 20-minute video, and we also have a 1-hour video, short and long forms that you can go over. And there's a lot of other good people out there too that are doing Qigong videos. So, find one that you resonate with. Ramadasa Sase So Hung is a mantra that comes out of the Kundalini Yoga practice and the Sikh tradition. And this will open up all the chakras. It's designed to give you a kind of a bija mantra take on opening up each of the 7 chakras with a seed sound. So this is one that's very, very easy, and it's very easy to get into a flow with it, and it will initiate the Kundalini.
Which we don't say that lightly. That's something that needs to be dealt with in a very safe manner. So it's not just about the party tricks that you can do and all of a sudden, boom, this thing. No, there can be a lot of trauma involved when you're just initiating that. So you want to make sure that you have a good spiritual practice in place. You want to make sure that you're in a position where you can be your authentic self, because once you start on this spiritual path, not many people tell you that alignment in this initiation can be very much like giving a feral cat a bath. It can be very difficult. So you want to go into this with healing yourself, healing your body, healing your mind, healing your soul. Figure out what traumas do you have. And a lot of times this energy can bring that forward. I just caution people to go slow.
Absolutely. So this is on Heart's Home. The way I look at Heart's Home, it's like if you have ever taken classes and they give you a textbook and a workbook. This is kind of the workbook. This is where you come and you do the actual work. You look closer into the spiritual practices. I think that's the way we'll keep this. So we have 46 mantras over here for you to go and look through. As you see, it starts with Ganesha because that's where we start. This is Lakshmi, and that's both of our second mantra of the day. We always do Ganesh, and then we both do Lakshmi. And then this is my third, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is a mantra to the what's thought of as the preserver, but also the creator of this matrix, the natural matrix, not the dark matrix, Vishnu. And so then after that, it goes into multiple other ones. Chamundaya is the divine feminine protective aspect. Again, Durga is an energy that makes the dark side quake, because this is, the divine mother in her motherly protective way. And again, we see the entire manifest universe. That is the divine feminine. The manifest universe is the divine feminine. It's divine mother.
Everything that you see here, everything that you see growing from the earth herself. So in Vedic astrology, one line of thinking and teaching is all the planets are all male, but everything that goes onto those planets is the female. So masculine, feminine energies, it's easy for us to just, look at other humans and say, oh, that's masculine, that's feminine, that's easy. But the masculine and feminine goes throughout our whole entire universe with everything that you're thinking, touching, feeling. It all has a masculine and feminine energy to it.
Absolutely. And then Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu is a mantra for peace, basically global peace, freedom, and happiness. It literally translates as, may all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may my deeds, actions, and thoughts contribute to that freedom and happiness. This is what I say over anything that I'm about to eat. And so I'm asking that all those beings that made this possible be blessed, happy, and free. And that's all those that contributed to it getting on the plate, as well as whatever it is on the plate. Because even if I'm eating just a salad, that salad has consciousness in it.
Indeed, it does. It has consciousness in it, but understand that everything that encompasses consciousness has a different viewpoint, and it has a different understanding. So we're only used to ourselves, what our brains think and how we think about life and death. But other entities realize, I would say they're more advanced than us. They realize that life and death go together, and death is a part of life, and they have a purpose to help feed and restore the living entities on Earth. There's a cycle.
Yeah, the body is a vehicle. So, we have this vehicle, then when we shed this vehicle, whether it's the trees or whatever it is that's going to utilize what's left of our body as nutrients, they are still in conscious, embodied, eternal spirit. And it's the cycle that goes on. So again, we pay things forward is the way we look at it. And then we get into, I'm not going to cover all 46, but I just wanted to touch on some and why we do them. Kuan Yin is the goddess Bodhisattva of compassion. Bodhisattva is one that can be, that can leave all this realm of creation, but choose not to merge back with source in order to help others and lift them up. So with Kuan Yin, she is one of our guides. Aset, Isis, again, is one of our main guides, and very, very important to us. So we go into some of the different guides that are our main guides from there. This was a prayer mantra meditation asking literally to remove the darkness from the planet. I think that if everybody would do this, and I do have this on EEARTS as well as Heart's Own, this is specifically about removing the power structure from the planet. So I do feel that this was one that they hated.
Yeah, this one was very powerful, very beautiful, and it is a way to help spread the good energy across the planet. So we do our best to, like Mike said, I guess we pay it forward to the best of our ability, and we try to make spirituality as simple as possible. But also, if you're someone who, if you're more detailed and say you like the dogma, go with the dogma. If it helps you, we are here to help people help themselves.
And that's what friends are for, as we see this pup jumping in to save his friend that is having a hard time.
Oh, what a hero. Absolutely gorgeous. And we can all do this. If we could all just do this to a certain degree to help each other, we'd go a long ways.
As always, guys, thank you for your support. We couldn't do it without you guys. Please do subscribe to Heart's Home as well. Take advantage of everything we put over there. Everything is also on Patreon, of course, and we thank our Patreons for their support.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.